This is lesson 546, the Kievan Rus, the rise of early Russia. And this is where the Kievan Rus were located, where Russia was born, and you can see close to the bottom of this orange area where the city of Kiev actually was, and you can see the Volga River going through this territory as well. The people. Historians know little about the origin of the first Slavic peoples. By 500 CE, Slavs had formed three distinct groups, and they settled in different parts of Eastern and Southern Europe. The Eastern Slav characteristics of these three groups, they were the largest. They existed north of the Black Sea, and they consisted of Ukrainians, Russians, and Belarusians. They were farmers and herders. They lived in villages made up of related families. They used rivers for trade and transportation, and they set up trade towns along the riverbanks. They were not warlike. They relied on trade and agriculture. The Kievan Rus. Rurik was the Viking chieftain who took control of the settlement town of Novgorod in the year 862 CE. He moved south, taking control of trade along the Dnieper River, and established a new capital at Kiev. He established the Rurik dynasty, which lasted all the way till the 17th century. Kiev prospered because of its location along the rich trade route between Constantinople and the Baltic Sea. Kiev served as the capital for nearly 300 years after about 879 CE. The Kievan Rus continued. Kievan Russia traded agricultural goods and raw materials with the Byzantines. They provided slaves for the Byzantines. In return, the Kievans received finished goods such as wine, silk, and textiles. By the early thousands, trade had helped Kievan Rus become a strong, wealthy power. The Kievan Rus convert. Kievan Russia was led by princes, governed with the advice of councils of Boyars, or nobles. In 988 CE, Prince Vladimir of Kiev converted to Eastern Orthodoxy, the Eastern Orthodox Christianity. And if you'll recall, this was the religion of the Byzantine Empire. He sent emissaries to the leaders of the world's main religions before deciding which religion he wanted to convert to, and he ordered a mass baptism in the Dnieper River. The conversion brought Byzantine culture to Kievan Rus, and it influenced their art through mosaics, their education. They introduced Russia's first law code, and the Pravda Russkya, the Russian justice, and architecture, the way they built churches. This is a picture of the baptism of the Kievan Rus people. Kievs Golden Age. Yaroslav the Wise, son of Vladimir, became the ruler of Kiev, and Kievan Rus culture reached its height. He established their first library, and he organized their legal system. The death of Yaroslav led to the decline of the city of Kiev. Mongol Rule. In 1240, Mongol invaders captured and destroyed the city of Kiev. They sacked towns and villages, they killed thousands, they taxed conquered peoples, and they required allegiance to the Mongol ruler. Mongol rule lasted for 2 centuries among the Kievan Rus. They isolated most of the Eastern Slavs from the other European civilizations. And Mongol words, customs, clothing, and administrative practices found their way into Russian culture. Here's a Mongol tax collector in a 13th century Russian town. Moscow in the 14th century. The rise of the city of Moscow. City life declined after the fall of Kiev. Many Slavs moved to remote northern forests to escape Mongol rule. The Prince of Muscovy, Moscow, used war and diplomatic marriages to expand his territory and power, and he became a Mongol tax collector. By 1350 CE, Moscow was the most powerful Eastern Slavic city. Muscovite forces beat the Mongols at the Battle of Kulakovo in 1380 CE. Muscovy became the most powerful state in Russia, replacing Kiev. Here's Ivan III tearing the Great Khan's letter requesting more tribute in the year 1480. The New Byzantium? Constantinople, the Byzantine capital, fell to the Ottoman Turks in the year 1453. The Byzantine Empire was no more. Moscow became the new center of the Eastern Orthodox Church. Ivan III ruled from 1462 to 1505, and he married the niece of the last Byzantine emperor. He took the title of Tsar, or Caesar, in his letters to others, and he's regarded as the successor of the Byzantine emperor, and he declared independence from Mongol rule. Russian expansion. In 1480, Ivan III, Ivan the Great, defeated the Mongols. And in 1547, Ivan IV, Ivan the Terrible, crowned himself the first Russian Tsar and pushed the Mongols out. Ivan the Grozny, Ivan the Terrible. Ivan IV lived from 1530 to 1584. He centralized royal power. He was the first Tsar of all Russians. He introduced new laws that tied Russian serfs to the land. Serfdom would last in Russia until 1861. Thousands of people were killed because he suspected a plot when his wife died. Ivan IV used agents of terror called Oprichniki to consolidate his power. He terrorized the peasants, and he used terror to keep his nobles, the Boyars, under his control. Leaders expected obedience to the Tsar and the government. Western European influences were transformed by Russian styles and taste. The Kremlin was known for Russian onion domes and ornately decorated palaces.